Hi guys, Ron here. Today I want to show you my indoor training setup, which I use mostly for Zwift nowadays, but let's just get straight into it. So the first part and the most important one, of course, is the bike. Now I have three bikes, a cyclocross bike, a road bike and a time trial bike. So you might ask, why did I decide to put my time trial bike on the trainer long term? So the reason for that is very simple. As the temperatures drop, the winds get stronger and it's wet and cold. I don't really want to ride my TT bike in those conditions because the faster you go, the colder you can get for the same effort. And the time trial bike is generally harder to maintain. So that is the first thing, simple convenience. And the second thing is that it's a very good opportunity to get used to your time trial position over the winter, so you're ready to race at the same power as on your road bike when the season comes. So these are the two main reasons, and it has worked for me for the past season very well, so that's why I decided to do it again. Obviously it's not maybe as comfortable as a road bike would be, not as good for sprints and short efforts, but I think it's definitely worth the trade-off. So as I mentioned, I use a Zwift setup, so that's where I need my computer from my old gaming days. Basically, when I was a kid I used to play video games a lot, so I'm stuck with this machine, and it's capable of doing Zwift at the highest settings in HD, so it's definitely a good thing to have, and I'm glad I didn't need to worry about that. I also got a small LCD TV. It's an old one, but it will do the job. It's HD compatible, so good enough for this. And then of course you also need a fan. Any type of indoor training you're going to do, you'll definitely need a fan to cool you off, because otherwise you're just going to be a huge sweaty mess. Then one nice addition for my setup, of course, I use a bar stool basically as my conductor's table. This is where I control my stuff, this is where I put my drink, tissues and so on, wireless keyboard and mouse from convenience again. And then perhaps the most important thing of them all is the turbo trainer itself. Now, if you've got a proper power meter and you want to pace your intervals according to that, you don't really need a smart trainer. And my old trainer was an Elite Turbo Million, so that wasn't a smart trainer. It was quite heavy, very stable, and had a fixed resistance, but it was pretty high, so good for all kinds of efforts, and I really like that. But as I said, I'm getting into cyclocross this season, and that one was not compatible with true axles, while this new Elite Diretto is. And the good thing about this trainer is that it's not really all that expensive compared to some Tex Neo or something like that. Direct drive, of course, you really want a direct drive trainer if you want to train indoors a lot. It's quite silent, ton of features, and it doesn't have the huge amount of resistance and perhaps the gradient simulation that some higher end trainers have, but I think it does the job. The maximum resistance in this one is 1400 watts, which I think is plenty good for me. Maybe not good enough for a full-on sprinter, but I'm just a 60 kilo rider, so 1000 and something watts is my top sprint power, and I'm definitely not going to achieve that indoors anyway. So yeah, it's good enough for the job. Also quite portable, it's not super heavy. I'm also planning to use this for warming up on time trials. It has a nice handle, the legs are folding, so yeah, very practical indeed. And it takes 9, 10, 11 speed cassettes depending on your spacers you put on there. and I think the design is also quite nice. One thing I didn't really like about it is the quick release keyword. It's just not very secure, and I had to fiddle around quite a bit to put my frame on timed in there, taut in there so it doesn't move. Then some minor details. Of course, you are going to need an N+ receiver for your computer to be able to control the trainer itself and to receive power data. Now I've decided to put this on a USB extension cable, and the reason why I did that is so that it's much closer to the devices themselves, and this way you get more reliable sensor data in there. And it also applies for the wireless keyboard and mouse, because if you have it at the back it doesn't really have good signal in there. So in this setup you don't really need a Garmin head unit either, and to be honest, most smart trainers nowadays have pretty good power meters, so even if you have a spare winter bike or some cheap bike that you don't really like to ride, you can still put in a turbo trainer with having proper data on there. But yeah, this is my setup and I'm quite happy with it. Towel obviously very important as well, and hydration, but we'll talk about that a bit more. Okay, so this is a short video to show you my Zwift setup. Very cool carpet as well. I inherited this from my brother, but it's good for the job. Yeah, so if you'd like to see more about the setup of this bike or my other bikes perhaps, or in the future I'm also going to do a review of the Elite Dorito, then if you'd like to see that, don't forget to tune into our channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.